Hello, Cricket Rockstar Nation, and a warm, happy Easter to all of my fellow Christian friends and followers, and brothers and sisters. Easter is the demonstration of God that life is essentially spiritual and timeless. Our joy that no had no end. Wishing all of my fellow Christ followers many blessings throughout this joyful season. May the Lord lift up our hearts at Easter and always. May the miracle of Easter bring you perfect peace. Hope you always feel His love shining in your life. Happy Easter, everybody, and let's get down to business. If you missed out on the IPL action all weekend long, you missed out 4 good games over the last 48 hours. We're starting off in Delhi as the Delhi Capitals took down the Mumbai Indians by 6 wickets. The 5-time champions Mumbai Indians posted 162 for the loss of 6 wickets after 20 overs, largely thanks to Surya Kumar Yadav's 51. Coincidentally, he was leading the MI side in the absence of Hardik Pandya, who apparently had came down with the flu. But the Delhi bowlers, led by Mukesh Kumar's 2 wickets and Akshar Patel's incredible 1 for 22, which was very economical to say the least from his full quota, they kept the Capitals on the leash. Then came a guy who impressed me a lot last season when he was with the Chennai Super Kings, and that is Sameer Rizvi. He smashed 90 of 51 deliveries, which included 7 towering maximums, to make a tricky chase look like a walk in the park as the Capitals closed it out with over 1.5 overs and 11 deliveries remaining. He ended up with the Player of the Match award despite 10 runs short of a century. But anyways, it was a comfortable chase in the end for the Capitals. I find, if I be very honest with you, talking about the same Sameer Rizvi, he was misutilized a lot last season when he was with the Chennai Super Kings, and it's good to see that the Capitals are utilizing him a lot this season. They're realizing that he has the potential to play important knocks in pivotal times. Moving away from Delhi to Ahmedabad as the Gujarat Titans, who would have thought that they would have bottleneck that 200 plus run chase against the Rajasthan Royals. That match had an absolute thriller, or should I say, out of the 4 games that occurred over the weekend, 2 out of the 4 games actually went to the last over. The Royals somehow managed to edge out the Gujarat Titans by just 6 runs at the Narendra Modi Stadium. Rajasthan posted a massive 210 for the loss of 6, courtesy Dhruv Jurel, who was the standout performer for the Royals with 75, and he was also supported by Yashishi Jaiswal, who made 55. And don't forget Vayab Shuvavashi. He got them off to an absolute flyer once again. I forgot how much he made, but this boy, that 15-year-old, could real bad, let me tell you. And in pursuit of the 210 for the Titans, Sai Sundarsar played the lone hand with a brilliant 73 of 44 deliveries. But it was Ravi Bishnoi, the leg spinner, that turned the game around. He picked up his best T20 figures of 4 for 41, which included crucial wickets in the dead overs. And despite the late surge, or should I say, the real turning point in the match was not just Bishnoi's 4 for alone, but those last 2 overs from Jofra Archer and this guy who used to play for CSK, I think it was Tushar Dipanshi or something like that. Those guys managed to defend less than a runner ball in the last 2 overs and somehow won that game in incredible fashion. Match number 10 saw the Lucknow Super Giants getting their first points on the board following a clinical 5-wicket victory over the Sunrisers Hyderabad in a last over thriller at the Ranji Gandhi International Cricket Stadium in Hyderabad. The Sunrisers had resistance from Henrich Klaasen 62 and Nitish Kumar Reddy's 56 as the men in orange recovered from a slow start to reach 156 for the loss of 9 after Mohammad Shami's early double strike. Shami was very clinical on the day, finishing with figures of 2 wickets for 9 runs from 4 overs. Then their captain Rishabh Pant showed why not only he's the anchor man for the Super Giants, but also the man to lead from the crisis. He scored an undefeated 68 to guide the Super Giants home with just one delivery remaining. Match number 11 featuring RCB and CSK, aka the Southern Derby, was pure violence and carnage. Why I'm saying this is because the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, they absolutely mashed up the Chennai Super Kings big time, sending them to its third consecutive defeat by a heavy margin of 43 runs. And listen to this, folks. RCB posted 250. I think this is the first time in a very long time they have posted a total over 250. The last time they scored 250, or I think it was the game in which Chris Gayle scored the 175 at the same venue against Pune Warriors in 2013. 250 for 13 years later. And it wouldn't have been possible had it wasn't for Tim David. He went absolutely boom boom, smoking 70 runs of just 25 deliveries. And guess what, folks? It included 8 sixes, and a couple of them, I was told, went outside of the Chinnaswamy. And there was also contributions from Devdutt Padikkal. He made his second half century of the tournament so far. And I must say this, folks, Padikkal, who has been criticized a lot in the past for playing the anchor role, he has changed his game a lot this season, and I expect him to keep on playing the same way. And there was also a quick fire 48 of 16 deliveries from captain Rajat Patidar at the end. And that is where RCB in the last 5 overs almost scored 100 runs against an out-of-form woeful Chennai Super Kings side, who, mind you, have won 5 titles over the years. Well, the run chase for the Chennai Super Kings never went off in the same boom-boom fashion. They fell 430 for the loss of 3, and the only person that fought hard for the men in yellow was Sarfaraz Khan. He made 50 and got out. And from there on out, it was just pure domination as the Royal Challengers Bengaluru bowlers were too disciplined. First of all, and I must congratulate Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. He, I think, is the first fast bowler in the history of the IPL. I could be wrong, first or second fast bowler to have achieved the 200 wicket mark in the match. This is CSK's third defeat in as many matches, and they have the worst start ever for a franchise who has won 5 titles on so many occasions over the years. 0-3. Can you believe that? 0-3. While on the other hand, the Royal Challengers Bengaluru are on an absolute juggernaut. And this is where I have to share my 2 cents on the Southern Derby. People might say that this is funny or not funny, but this is actually a fact. Royal Challengers Bengaluru in the last 4 games against the Chennai Super Kings have defeated them 4 times in a row. 4 times, folks. The first time it occurred was when they knocked them out of the 2024 playoff race narrowly, and they ended up in the playoffs but losing out. And then from since then, they have been whipping their ass. Excuse my language though. This is the first time in history CSK has lost to RCB 4 times in a row. Throughout the history of the IPL Southern Derby, it has been statistically CSK all the way. It has been one-sided affairs with a couple of thrillers here and there. It was always Chennai Super Kings that would have the upper hand against RCB. But since that fateful night in May of 2024, when Yash Diyal bowled that last over to knock the Super Kings out, it has been RCB all the way. They have been playing with all the positivity and confidence in the world from last year's maiden title triumph, while on the other hand, the Super Kings are currently 0-3. Never has this happened with the Chennai Super Kings ever in the history of the IPL. It is currently the worst ever start for the Super Kings, and this is where the CSK management really needs to wake up. They have been making a series of ridiculous blunders. Firstly, their bowling attack is the worst by all of the franchises I've seen so far this season. Their batters, on the other hand, They are not performing. Samson and Gaikwal, who has been expected to score the bulk of the runs for the Super Kings, they aren't batting long enough. Secondly, why isn't Australia's Macho or even West Indies and Trinidad and Tobago's leading wicket taker in the spin department for the last few years, Akil Hussain, not getting any game time, which is absolute criminal to say the least. And we have always seen in the past, when I just mentioned Australia, Aussie players, whenever they play for CSK, have always successfully performed. And it's quite strange that not one Australian player is not even in the side, which is absolute shambles. And at the moment, talking about players, New Zealand's Matt Henry, he's virtually out of form, especially coming out of a long T20 World Cup campaign in which the Kiwis did finish runners-up behind India. And the same can be said for Afghanistan's wrist spinner Noor Ahmed. I find his form has drastically declined for quite some time now. And there are other guys who you have to look out for. Prashant Vir, Anshal Kambaj, and Khalil Ahmed. These guys, they're not performing. These were the guys that were brought in for crews, for millions of crews, and they're not even performing to the best of their ability. At the moment, the Royal Challengers Bengaluru are taking all of the right answers to the right questions. Phil Salt and Virat Kohli looking deadly dangerous at the top of the order. Then that middle order pair is pure violence / box office, to say the least. In particular, Devdutt Padikkal, Rajat Patidar, and Tim David. Once you do not get these guys out, you're in absolute shambles. You're in all sorts of trouble. Their bowling attack has been outstanding so far this season, despite some of them going for extra runs in the Southern Derby against CSK. But overall, if you don't get past RCB's big guns, you are going to suffer significant consequences. With all of that being said, that's going to wrap up my IPL weekend roundup for the 4th and the 5th of April 2026. Until we meet again, folks, be good, be cool, stay frosty, and only love is where the heart is. No hate is allowed anywhere. Take care, my friends.